He basically threatened to kill her. He threatened to kill cops. He threatened to kill other people.
Shawnie Mulligan always wanted a partner who could keep up with her. But Ron's lust for life leads Shawnie down a dark path. When Ron's secret blows up, no one is safe.
One of the things they find is that AR-15 and a huge bag of ammo.
It's all 5.56.
I feared for Shawnie's life. I feared for our life.
It occurred to me that I had no idea who I was married to, who he would hurt, what he would do.
Growing up in Colorado, Shawnie Mulligan has always loved the thrill of the outdoors.
Shawnie was the fastest 10-year-old girl skier in the country. She was just phenomenal.
Even her own husband can't keep up with Shawnie when she gets married at the age of 26. They divorce after 3 years of marriage, and a few years later, Shawnie joins a dating site.
I believe Ron reached out to me first and sent me a message, and that my biking photos were awesome. His profile picture wasn't great. It was just kind of this weird photo of him. He had a good 15 years on me. So the first date was a bike ride, and it was just fun, and he was kind of funny. He's like, I've always wanted to kiss a girl on a mountain bike trail. He was very into it and excited about it.
Shawnie told us that Ron was the IT director for the town of Vail in Eagle County, which is a very highly respected, responsible position.
We dated long distance, and after about 3 months, he kind of asked me, he's like, why don't you move up to Vail? And I was like, are you kidding? I think the first flag was Ron didn't want me to work. Ron always had a lot of money. Bikes, skis, gear. I never heard the words, no, I can't afford that, come out of his mouth. It was always a question in the back of my head. In 2013, Ron started losing energy. I remember one day he was literally laying down in his office, like sleeping. He went to a doctor, and the doctor basically was like, you have very low testosterone. You need to be put on testosterone supplement to get you back to a normal level.
It works. Ron feels a boost in his energy almost immediately. But what was meant to be temporary becomes a habit, and steroid use leads to alarming changes in Ron's behavior.
Ron started having these strange, violent outbursts and losing his patience a lot, throw objects, lash out.
The testosterone also increases Ron's sexual appetite, revealing something surprising.
Ron made it known to me that, you know, he had had threesomes and that he was interested in that, and this whole idea of swingers. It's like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. And I made it clear, I was like, if you want that, you're gonna have to find someone else. I mean, I was absolutely in love with him, and I was terrified of him ending it because I did something wrong.
Her desire to please Ron puts Shawnie in a vulnerable position, which he uses to his advantage.
He propositioned the threesome swinger lifestyle again with me. There's this website that we can put our profile up. It's like a dating site for swingers. I was kind of like, I don't think so. And he said that this is so important to me and this is what I need. And I guess I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. This is really important to him. Ron wanted another male. He wasn't interested in another female. So we got a response to the ad pretty quick. I remember on our way to meet him, I was just sick to my stomach. And there was so much dread. I was so uncomfortable. Ron told me, like, you don't have to do this. We may just meet him and not like him, but yet he's like, we're gonna take the RV. And then the guy and Ron were kind of like, well, do you want to get together? Do you want to hook up? Like, what do you want to do? They were figuring out plans, where to go to have sex. We went out onto a back road. The whole time I was just like, I just want this over. Like, that's all I could think about. Ron was just standing there watching as I was with this other guy, and I was just like, this is surreal. This is just crazy. It kind of became apparent to me that he just wanted to watch. Afterwards, Ron was so happy, and he was kissing me and hugging me and holding my hand and touching me and telling me how much he loved me and how wonderful I was. You know, what did I just do? It was probably within 3 weeks of that we got married. We just went to the courthouse, filled out the paperwork. Like, there was no ceremony. He knew he could kick me out at any moment. What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go? How am I gonna survive?
After the wedding, Ron continues to take advantage of his power position.
Ron made it seem like, oh, lots of people have threesomes, lots of people swing, you know, and you kind of start to think, what's wrong with me? Ron started taking videos, I would say the 4th or 5th time that we were probably with someone. And he never asked me. I had no voice in this. He just did it, and he had it on his computer, and I never saw it. I never saw any of the video. I don't know what he did with it. So that was hard.
A couple of months later, Ron approaches Shawnie with what seems like an exciting prospect.
He comes up and he said, I want to buy a house. It was a beautiful house, $1 million house on acreage.
But there's a sticking point.
He's like, I need a legal agreement, basically saying, the house is mine, not yours. And then he had his attorney do the post-nup, like, the house was his retirement was his, all the savings accounts, the bank accounts, everything was his. And nothing was mine.
Shawnie decides it's time to become financially independent.
I applied to be a deputy at the jail for the county, knowing that it paid decent and that I could get health insurance. He was pissed, knowing that I was trying to get out financially. I'm working on the floor of the jail, and I remember there's a guy, and he gets on the radio, and he's like, hey, Shawnie, the undersheriff wants to talk to you. And they tell me your husband's been arrested. You know, I'm shocked. I'm like, for what? Sex crimes against children.
A joint FBI Colorado PD task force has uncovered a sex trafficking ring near Vail in Glenwood Springs. They found Ron in a hotel room having sex with an underage girl.
Ron was charged with 4 charges. He was charged with solicitation of a child prostitute, patronizing a child prostitute, pandering of a child prostitute, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
And then a couple hours later, he started calling me. He was desperate. And he's like, it's all a mistake. This didn't happen. Like, this is all wrong. And he was just, please, Shawnie, come bail me out. So I did. There was a note in his property that said, you've been put on administrative leave. Town of Vail blocked him out of everything. Like, he was locked out of all accounts, and he's basically telling me he's gonna kill himself. And I didn't want that on my shoulders, so I supported him for a while.
The other people who were leading the sex trafficking ring, both of them got long sentences, about 10 years. The judge ultimately agreed with Ron that he had been punished by losing his reputation and losing his job. He got a few years of probation and was sentenced to 100 hours of community service, but 0 jail time.
I was worried when he got out of jail that Shawnie wasn't going to be safe.
He basically threatened to kill her. He threatened to kill cops. He threatened to kill other people.
Adding to her present state of fear is the disconcerting feeling that Ron has been hiding dark secrets. One day, she discovers why Ron has so much disposable income.
I had one of his former associates call me, who I knew. There was some sketchy stuff that Ron was selling wireless that was owned by the town of Vail to private companies and then profiting by that. Immediately contacted my boss and I said, I need to talk to you. And I went in and I was like, I don't have proof. I don't have any evidence, but this is what I was told. And, you know, my boss was just kind of like, okay.
In July 2020, Vail PD gets the go-ahead from the county DA to arrest Ron Braden on embezzlement charges.
Vail PD asked Ron over and over again to get out of the van.
Nope.
And he refused.
Why?
We can explain it to you once you're out of the truck.
No.
No.
And Ron tried to drive away.
Ron, I'm telling you right now. Shoot me. There's a warrant for your arrest. Get out of the car. Shoot me. Get out of the car, Ron. Shoot me. Ron, I'll rip you out of this vent window if I have to. This is bull, Ron. What? There's a warrant for your... Ron, wait for me. No.
He's trying to get their guns, and he's just yelling and screaming at them.
Give me your hand. Get on the ground, Ron!
You want to tase him?
Yeah.
Rod, stop.
Ronald Braden is facing all kinds of charges, including embezzlement, theft, and assault on a peace officer. He allegedly hurt two of the officers who arrested him over the weekend.
Ron embezzled $854,000 from the town of Vail over a 6-year period. When Ron posted bond, he was immediately placed on an ankle monitor. And that ankle monitor was monitored by Vail PD 24/7. 8 months after his arrest, I was at work. A dispatcher comes over the radio and said there's been a tamper alert with Ron Braden's GPS monitor. And I just froze. And I was like, oh no, please tell me this is fake. Ron was on the run for a week. They were, you know, everybody was looking for him. They were doing everything they could to look for him. I was scared.
Shawnie came home that night, and our terror was at the point where we barricaded our whole house.
My parents were terrified that he was gonna come down there. Kill me.
After a week in hiding, Shawnie decides to return to Vail.
And my boss called me. Ron was tracked down to Arizona, and they'd put a violent crimes task force SWAT team type on him, and they were monitoring and watching him. The next day, he got into a vehicle, and they decided that was the best time tactically to pull him over. The task force, the agents, were trying to call Ron out, and all of a sudden they just heard shots. And he had killed himself. Ron had killed himself. I was like, why am I upset? I hate him. I hate him. But yet I was just sobbing that he was dead. I was broken apart. I still, to this day, don't understand him. I'm not sure I ever will.
Shawnie tells her story to create awareness around both steroid abuse and the invisible crime of sexual coercion.
I have an amazing family. My parents are amazing and they support me, and I've learned to make friends. You know, love, I don't know, that's a whole nother ballgame.